Hi dear, I appreciate you click on this. In this video, we're going to explore 50 relaxing facts about true love. Not the loud, dramatic kind you see in movies, but the quiet, steady kind that brings peace to your heart. These are soft reminders of connection, kindness, and the small moments that make love feel real. You don't need to focus too hard. Just listen, relax, and let each word gently drift through your mind. Whether you're here to unwind, fall asleep, or simply find comfort, you're in the right place. So get comfortable, close your eyes if you'd like, and let's begin. Fact number 1. Kissing a romantic partner releases a cocktail of feel-good chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. A kiss between two people who love each other is far more than a simple physical gesture. It is a complex neurochemical event with measurable effects on the brain and body. When we kiss a romantic partner, the brain releases a powerful combination of chemicals that together create an overwhelming sense of pleasure, connection, and well-being. Dopamine, the reward chemical, creates that rush of excitement and desire. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, deepens feelings of trust and emotional closeness. Serotonin, the mood-regulating chemical, contributes to feelings of happiness and contentment. Additionally, kissing raises levels of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. This is why a kiss from someone you love can instantly make you feel better, calmer, and more connected. Research also suggests that kissing plays an important role in partner assessment. The sensory information exchanged during a kiss, including scent, taste, and touch, helps us evaluate biological compatibility on levels our conscious minds may not fully process. A kiss, it turns out, speaks volumes. Fact number 2. Your pupils dilate when you look at someone you love. The eyes have long been called the windows to the soul, and science has found that they reveal something very specific about love. When you look at someone you love or feel strongly attracted to, your pupils dilate. This involuntary physical response is controlled by the autonomic nervous system and is connected to the release of adrenaline and dopamine triggered by the sight of the person you care for. Pupil dilation is a sign of psychological arousal and heightened interest, and it happens automatically without any conscious effort or control. Interestingly, we are subconsciously sensitive to pupil dilation in others. Research has found that people tend to rate photographs of people with dilated pupils as more attractive, even without consciously noticing the difference. Historically, women in Renaissance Italy used eye drops derived from the belladonna plant to deliberately dilate their pupils, believing it made them more attractive. Without realizing it, they were leveraging a biological truth. Dilated pupils signal interest, attraction, and the unmistakable presence of love. Fact number 3. A person's voice naturally softens when speaking to someone they love. Pay close attention the next time someone speaks to a person they deeply love, and you're likely to notice something subtle but unmistakable. Their voice changes. Research in vocal communication has found that people instinctively lower the pitch and soften the tone of their voice when speaking to romantic partners. This vocal shift is partly conscious. We speak more gently to those we care about, but it is also partly involuntary, driven by the neurological and hormonal changes that love produces. Studies have found that both men and women adjust their voice when speaking to a romantic partner, and that listeners can often identify a love voice, a softer, warmer, more melodic quality, even from brief recordings. This vocal tenderness is one of the many subtle, nonverbal ways in which love expresses itself. It signals safety, care, and emotional openness. And there's something deeply touching about it. In the way we speak to those we love, even our voices reveal that something in us is softened, opened, and become more gentle. Fact number 4. People in love tend to unconsciously mirror each other's body language. One of the most beautiful and unconscious expressions of love and connection is body language mirroring. When two people are deeply in love or emotionally bonded, they naturally begin to synchronize their physical movements, leaning in at the same time, adopting similar postures, mirroring gestures, and even adjusting their breathing and blinking rates to match each other. This phenomenon, known as behavioral synchrony or mirroring, is driven by what neuroscientists call mirror neurons, brain cells that activate both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing the same action. Mirroring is a powerful nonverbal signal of empathy, connection, and rapport. In the context of love, it reflects how deeply attuned two people become to each other over time. Their bodies, in a sense, learn each other's rhythms and begin to move in harmony. Interestingly, mirroring also reinforces positive feelings. Research shows that when people mirror our movements, we tend to feel more liked, understood, and emotionally connected to them. Love writes itself in the body as much as in the heart. Fact number 5. The butterflies you feel are your body's adrenaline response to emotional excitement. The fluttery, fizzy sensation in the stomach that people describe as butterflies is one of the most universally recognized feelings of romantic excitement. But what is actually happening inside the body when we experience it? The answer lies in adrenaline. When we're near someone we are attracted to or in love with, our brain registers this as an emotionally significant situation and triggers the release of adrenaline, the same hormone associated with the fight or flight stress response. Adrenaline increases heart rate, sharpens alertness, and, crucially, diverts blood flow away from the digestive system to the muscles and vital organs in preparation for action. This diversion of blood flow from the stomach causes the distinctive fluttering sensation we associate with nervousness and excitement. The stomach's digestive muscles contract in response to the reduced blood supply, creating that unmistakable butterfly feeling. It is your body's physical response to the emotional significance of the person in front of you. And while it may feel delicate, it is powered by one of the most powerful hormones in the human body. Fact number 6. Being in love can suppress appetite, similar to the effect of stimulants. Many people in the early stages of intense romantic love notice something puzzling. They forget to eat, feel less hungry than usual, or find that food loses some of its appeal. This is not just romantic distraction. It has a biological basis. Being intensely in love triggers elevated levels of dopamine and norepinephrine in the brain, creating a state of heightened arousal and focused attention. These same neurochemicals are associated with reduced appetite. The brain, in a state of intense love, is so flooded with reward signals and so focused on thoughts of the beloved that it temporarily overrides normal hunger cues. Interestingly, this effect is similar to that of certain stimulant substances, which also elevate dopamine and norepinephrine and are known to suppress appetite. Over time, as the initial intensity of romantic passion settles into a more stable bond, normal appetite typically returns. But in those early, exhilarating stages of love, when the world feels electrified, the body, swept up in something greater than hunger, seems to forget that it needs to eat. Fact number 7. Love can literally make your heart ache. Emotional pain activates similar brain areas as physical pain. When we say that a broken heart hurts, or that we feel heartache, we are often speaking more literally than we realize. Research in neuroscience has revealed that emotional pain, particularly the pain of rejection, loss, or heartbreak, activates many of the same regions of the brain as physical pain. A landmark study by psychologist Ethan Kross found that viewing a photograph of a person who had rejected you activated the same areas of the brain, including the secondary somatosensory cortex and the dorsal posterior insula, that are engaged during physical pain. This means that the brain processes social and emotional pain through similar neural pathways as it does bodily pain. This is why heartbreak can feel so viscerally physical, because to the brain, it is It also explains why medications like over-the-counter pain relievers have been found in some studies to slightly reduce feelings of social rejection. They are working on overlapping neural systems. Love's pain, it turns out, is not just a metaphor. It is written into the architecture of the brain. Fact number 8. Skin-to-skin contact with a loved one promotes healing and bonding. The human need for touch is one of our most fundamental biological drives, and science has confirmed that skin-to-skin contact with a loved one has profound effects on both healing and emotional bonding. Touch is one of the primary ways we communicate love and care without words, and its effects are measurable and significant. Physical contact with a loving partner triggers the release of oxytocin, which not only deepens the emotional bond but also has anti-inflammatory properties that support physical healing. Studies in medical settings have shown that patients who receive loving touch from family members or partners recover from illness and surgery more quickly. Research on newborn infants has shown that skin-to-skin contact between a baby and a parent, known as kangaroo care, dramatically improves health outcomes for premature babies, regulating their heart rate, temperature, and breathing. Even in adult relationships, regular loving touch, hugging, holding hands, or simply sitting close together, is associated with lower stress, stronger immunity, and greater emotional well-being. We are quite literally wired for loving touch. Fact number 9. Smelling a loved one's scent can calm anxiety. The sense of smell has a uniquely powerful connection to emotion and memory in the human brain. And when it comes to love, it can be a remarkably calming force. Research has found that smelling a romantic partner's scent can significantly reduce anxiety and stress levels. In a study conducted at the University of British Columbia, women who were exposed to their partner's scent reported feeling less stressed and showed lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, compared to those who smelled a stranger's scent or no scent at all. The reason lies in how the olfactory system, the brain's processing center for smell, connects directly to the limbic system, which governs emotion and memory. A loved one's scent is deeply associated with feelings of safety, comfort, and belonging, and simply encountering it triggers those associations at a neurological level. This is why people often find comfort in wearing a partner's clothing when they are away, or keeping something that carries their scent nearby. In love, even fragrance becomes a form of presence and reassurance. Fact number 10. Laughter shared with a partner releases endorphins and deepens the bond. Laughter is one of the most joyful and connecting experiences two people can share, and science has confirmed what our hearts already know. Laughing together deepens the bond between partners in meaningful and measurable ways. When we laugh, the brain releases endorphins, the body's natural feel-good chemicals, the same ones released during exercise and physical affection. Shared laughter means two people are releasing these feel-good chemicals simultaneously and in response to each other, creating a powerful neurochemical bond. Research by psychologist Sarah Algo found that couples who laugh together report higher levels of relationship satisfaction and feel more supported and understood by each other. Laughing together also creates positive shared memories, reinforces a sense of being in sync, and signals that two people understand each other's sense of humor, which is one of the most intimate forms of understanding. In long-term relationships, the ability to find humor together, in everyday moments, in difficulty, and in each other's quirks, is one of the most reliable predictors of lasting happiness. Fact number 11. Many world religions consider love the highest spiritual virtue. Across the world's major spiritual traditions, love is consistently placed at the pinnacle of human virtue, considered not merely a feeling between two people, but a fundamental force that connects humanity to each other and to the divine. In Christianity, the Apostle Paul wrote that of all virtues, the greatest is love, a passage that has been read at weddings and funerals for 2,000 years. Islam speaks of Allah as Al-Wadud, the loving, and emphasizes compassion and care for all of creation as core religious duties. In Buddhism, the practice of metta, loving kindness, is considered one of the most important meditations, cultivating unconditional goodwill toward all living beings. Hinduism describes love in its highest form, prema, as the purest expression of the divine, the force that animates the universe itself. Judaism emphasizes the commandment to love one's neighbor as oneself as central to ethical life. Across these traditions, love is not just a personal experience. It is a sacred act, a pathway to the deepest truths, and the foundation of a life well lived. Fact number 12. Rumi wrote that love is the bridge between you and everything. Jalal ad-Din Muhammad Rumi, the 13th century Persian poet and Sufi mystic, is one of the most celebrated poets in human history, and love was the central, inexhaustible theme of his entire body of work. His poetry describes love not as a simple human emotion, but as a cosmic force, the very energy that connects all of existence. When Rumi wrote that love is the bridge between you and everything, he was expressing a vision of love as fundamentally unifying, dissolving the barriers between self and other, between the individual and the divine, between the human and the infinite. For Rumi, the experience of falling in love was a taste of the soul's deepest longing, its yearning to return to its source, to merge with something greater than itself. His work has transcended centuries and cultures because he articulated something that countless people across time have felt but struggled to express. That love, at its deepest, is not merely an emotion. It is a doorway into the very heart of existence, where separation ends and belonging begins. Fact number 13. The Hindu concept of prema refers to unconditional, divine love. In the rich philosophical and spiritual tradition of Hinduism, love is understood at many levels, from ordinary affection to the highest spiritual state. The concept of prema, sometimes spelled prem, refers to the purest, most elevated form of love, unconditional, selfless, and divine in nature. Unlike love that is based on attachment to outcomes or expectations, prema is given freely, without demand or condition. It is the love that seeks nothing in return, that does not diminish when circumstances change, and that transcends the ordinary boundaries of self-interest. In Vaishnavism, a major tradition within Hinduism, prema bhakti, or divine loving devotion, is considered the highest spiritual achievement, a state in which the devotee's love for the divine becomes so pure and total that all sense of separation dissolves. The concept of prema reminds us that love, at its highest, is not something we fall into or out of. It is a state of being, a way of existing in relationship to all of life, rooted in the recognition of the divine in every person in every moment. Fact number 14. Buddhism teaches that true love, metta, includes compassion and loving kindness for all beings. In Buddhist teaching, the highest form of love is not the exclusive passion of romantic love, but something far more expansive. Metta, which is often translated as loving kindness or benevolent love. Metta is the sincere wish for all beings, without exception, to be happy, healthy, safe, and at peace. It begins with oneself, then extends outward to include loved ones, neutral acquaintances, difficult people, and ultimately all living beings across the universe without distinction. This radical inclusivity is what makes metta unique. It is love that does not depend on relationship, familiarity, or reciprocity. Buddhism teaches that the practice of metta meditation, regularly cultivating feelings of warmth and goodwill toward a widening circle of beings, gradually transforms the practitioner, dissolving hostility, fear, and the sense of separation that causes suffering. Closely related to metta is karuna, compassion, the response to suffering with a desire to relieve it. Together, metta and karuna form the foundation of Buddhist ethics and describe a vision of love that embraces the whole of life. Fact number 15. Philosophers argue that true love is a choice as much as a feeling. In popular culture, love is most often portrayed as something that happens to us, something we fall into as if swept away by a force beyond our control. But philosophers across centuries and traditions have argued that this picture is incomplete and perhaps even misleading. True love, they contend, is not just a feeling that arrives uninvited. It is also a deliberate choice, made and remade over time. The philosopher Erich Fromm, in his influential book The Art of Loving, argued that love is not primarily a feeling but an activity, a practice of care, knowledge, responsibility, and respect. To love, in Fromm's view, is to choose to invest in another person's growth and well-being consistently and over time. This perspective has profound implications for how we think about sustaining love in long-term relationships. When the exhilarating feelings of early romance settle into something quieter, the question becomes, will you choose to love? Not just feel love, but actively practice it through attention, kindness, and daily devotion. True love, many wise thinkers have argued, is ultimately one of the most important choices a human being can make. Fact number 16. Agape, selfless love, is considered the highest form of love in Christian theology. In the theology of Christianity, love is understood through several Greek terms borrowed from the ancient world, but the highest and most sacred of these is agape. Agape refers to selfless, unconditional, sacrificial love, the kind that gives without counting the cost, that cares for others regardless of their worthiness or reciprocation, and that endures through all circumstances. In Christian teaching, agape is the very nature of God, expressed most fully in Christian belief through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ. The Apostle Paul's famous description of love in his first letter to the Corinthians: love is patient, love is kind, it bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, is a description of agape. This vision of love is radical because it is explicitly not transactional. It does not depend on being loved in return, on the other person being lovable, or on the relationship being easy or pleasurable. Agape asks, what can I give? Not, what will I receive? It is a love modeled on generosity, mercy, and an unconditional desire for the good of the other. Fact number 17. The Sufi tradition celebrates love as the path to God. Within Islam, the mystical tradition known as Sufism has long held love at the absolute center of its spiritual vision. For the Sufi mystics, divine love, the burning, overwhelming love for God and from God, is not merely one aspect of the spiritual path. It is the path itself. The great Sufi poets, Rumi, Hafiz, Ibn Arabi, and others, wrote about love in language so passionate, so ecstatic, and so intimate that it reads at times more like romantic poetry than theological writing. And in a sense, it is both. Sufi tradition holds that human love, the longing we feel for a beloved person, is a reflection and a foretaste of the soul's deepest longing. Its yearning to return to God, to dissolve into the divine love from which it came. The intoxication of human love is, in this vision, a school for the soul, teaching us surrender, devotion, and the ecstasy of losing ourselves in something greater. Through love, the Sufis taught, the barriers between the human and the divine grow thin, and the soul approaches its truest home. Fact number 18. Many philosophers argue love is inseparable from respect for another's freedom. One of the most important philosophical insights about love is that genuine love and respect for another person's freedom are inseparable. Indeed, that love without freedom is not truly love at all. The existentialist philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre wrestled deeply with this tension, exploring how love can sometimes tip into a desire to possess or define another person, to make them fully yours, in ways that ultimately betray love's truest nature. More constructively, philosopher Simone de Beauvoir argued that authentic love between two people requires that both remain free, self-determining individuals, choosing each other not from need or dependence, but from genuine desire and mutual recognition. This vision of love is demanding. It asks us to hold our beloved with open hands rather than possessive ones, to support their becoming even when it takes them in unexpected directions. Khalil Gibran expressed this beautifully in his work, The Prophet, writing of love as something that fills your cup but does not drink from it, that stands between you but does not crowd your togetherness. True love honors freedom because it is rooted in respect, not ownership. Fact number 19. Khalil Gibran wrote that love should give you freedom. Possessiveness is not true love. The Lebanese-American poet and philosopher Khalil Gibran, whose work The Prophet has been read and treasured worldwide since its publication in 1923, offered one of the most enduring and beautiful visions of what love truly is and what it is not. In his chapter on love and marriage, Gibran wrote of love as a force that, at its highest, gives freedom rather than constraint, that allows the beloved to remain their own person, to grow in their own direction, to be both together and separate. He described a vision of two people who stand together, but not in each other's shadow, who love each other without binding each other, who sing and dance together but remain, each of them, a whole person. For Gibran, possessiveness, the desire to control, contain, or fully own another person, was the very opposite of love. It was fear wearing love's mask. True love, he argued, wants the other person to flourish, even if that flourishing takes forms we did not expect or plan. This understanding of love as liberation rather than possession remains one of the most challenging and most beautiful truths about what love at its highest can be. Fact number 20. Love has inspired more art, music, literature, and philosophy than any other human experience. If you were to remove every work of art, music, literature, and philosophy inspired by love from human culture, you would lose an almost incomprehensible proportion of everything humanity has ever created. Love has been the central subject of human creative expression across every culture, every era, and every art form in recorded history. From the love songs inscribed on Sumerian clay tablets 4,000 years ago, to the soaring arias of Italian opera, to the intimate confessions of contemporary song lyrics. From the ancient Greek dramas of passionate tragedy, to Shakespeare's sonnets, to the modern novel, love is the thread running through the entire tapestry of human creativity. Why? Because love touches every aspect of human experience. It brings the greatest joy and the deepest sorrow, the highest hopes and the sharpest fears, the most profound connection and the most devastating loss. It demands to be expressed, and in expressing it, artists across all of human history have created work that speaks to something universal in all of us, because love is not one person's story. It is the story of what it means to be human. Fact number 21. The term falling in love reflects the loss of control people feel in early romance. Language is rarely accidental, and the phrase falling in love captures something deeply true about the early experience of romantic love. We do not say we rose into love, or walked into love, or decided on love. We fall, a word that implies sudden loss of control, a departure from solid ground, a momentum that carries us regardless of our plans or intentions. This linguistic choice reflects exactly what the early stages of love often feel like. The flood of neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, norepinephrine, that cascade through the brain in early romance genuinely disrupts ordinary cognitive function. Decision-making, logical reasoning, and even self-perception are all affected. We become absorbed in thoughts of the other person, energized by their presence, and destabilized in the most delightful way by the uncertainty of what is unfolding. There's a surrender in falling, a letting go of the controlled, rational self that is simultaneously terrifying and exhilarating. And in many ways, this surrender, this willingness to be moved, to be changed, to lose your footing for a while, is precisely where love begins. Fact number 22. You can become addicted to a person's presence the same way you can become addicted to a substance. One of the more surprising and sobering findings of neuroscience is that romantic love can produce patterns in the brain that closely resemble addiction. When you're deeply in love, the presence of your beloved triggers significant dopamine release, creating a powerful reward signal that your brain quickly learns to crave. Over time, this can lead to patterns of behavior that mirror addiction. Craving the person when they are absent, feeling a kind of withdrawal discomfort when separated from them, and returning again and again to the source of that reward. This is why breakups can feel so physically painful, and why people sometimes continue returning to relationships that are not good for them. The brain has become accustomed to the neurochemical reward of that specific person's presence. Researchers who study the neuroscience of love have found that the same regions of the brain associated with craving and substance dependence are activated in people who are intensely in love. This does not mean that all love is unhealthy, far from it, but it does help explain the overwhelming intensity that romantic love can produce and why its absence can feel, at times, like withdrawal. Fact number 23. Thinking about love versus lust encourages more long-term, creative thinking. Research has found a fascinating difference in how thinking about love versus thinking about physical attraction affects our cognition. In a series of studies by psychologist Jens Forster, participants who were asked to think about love, about being in a committed, long-term romantic relationship, subsequently showed significantly better performance on tests of creative thinking compared to those who thought about casual physical attraction. The reason, researchers believe, lies in how love primes the mind toward long-term thinking. Love is associated with building a future, planning ahead, and seeing the big picture of a life shared with another person. This broad, future-oriented mental framework enhances what psychologists call global processing, the ability to see connections, think abstractly, and generate creative ideas. Physical desire, by contrast, tends to promote more immediate, concrete thinking. This means that love does not just feel different from mere attraction. It actually changes the way our minds work, opening up broader, more creative modes of thought. The beloved inspires not just the heart, but the imagination. Fact number 24. People in love are more likely to take healthy risks and pursue goals. Being in love has a remarkable effect on motivation and ambition. Research has found that people who are in loving, supportive relationships are more likely to take healthy risks. Pursuing new career opportunities, starting creative projects, going back to education, or attempting goals that might seem daunting to face alone. The psychological mechanism behind this is what researchers call self-expansion. When we are in a loving relationship, we grow. We absorb aspects of our partner's perspective, resources, and support into our own sense of self, which makes us feel more capable and more confident. Knowing that someone loves and believes in us also provides a powerful emotional safety net, the secure base from which we can reach further than we might otherwise dare. Attachment research, pioneered by John Bowlby and later Cindy Hazan and Philip Shaver, found that securely attached adults, those with a stable, loving relationship to return to, explore the world more boldly. Love does not make us comfortable and complacent. In its healthiest form, it makes us braver, more expansive, and more willing to become who we are truly capable of being. Fact number 25. True love often develops gradually from deep friendship. While the dramatic, sudden love at first sight narrative is the one most often celebrated in movies and novels, relationship research tells a more nuanced and perhaps more hopeful story. That some of the deepest and most enduring forms of romantic love grow quietly and gradually from the roots of genuine friendship. Studies have found that a significant proportion of long-term couples, in some surveys, more than half, describe having started as friends before becoming romantic partners. The friendship-first path to love has some distinct advantages. It means that two people have already built mutual understanding, trust, shared experiences, and genuine affection before romance enters the picture. The romantic love that develops on this foundation tends to be more stable, more deeply rooted, and more resilient in the face of life's inevitable challenges. There's also something quietly beautiful about this kind of love. It is love that began with truly seeing another person, enjoying their company, and valuing their character before any rush of romantic chemistry arrived. It is love grounded in real knowledge of who someone actually is. Fact number 26. The mere exposure effect means we tend to love what and who we're familiar with. One of the most fascinating and counterintuitive findings in social psychology is the mere exposure effect, the well-documented tendency for people to develop more positive feelings toward things and people simply by being exposed to them more frequently. First described by psychologist Robert Zajonc, this effect has been replicated in hundreds of studies across a wide range of stimuli, from abstract shapes to music to faces. In the context of love and attraction, the mere exposure effect means that familiarity itself, simply spending time near someone, can gradually build feelings of warmth and affection. This partly explains why love between neighbors, colleagues, or childhood friends is so common. Repeated exposure creates comfort, and comfort can deepen into genuine affection over time. It also helps explain why arranged marriages, which pair two people who may initially be strangers but spend regular time together, can and do develop into deeply loving partnerships. The mere exposure effect does not make superficial bonds profound, but it does remind us that love often grows in the soil of everyday presence, in the quiet, repeated experience of simply being near someone. Fact number 27. People who volunteer and show love to strangers report higher happiness levels. One of the most consistently supported findings in the science of happiness is that giving, particularly giving to others through acts of kindness and service, produces greater well-being than receiving. Research on volunteering and pro-social behavior has found that people who regularly give their time, energy, and care to strangers report significantly higher levels of happiness, life satisfaction, and meaning than those who do not. This is sometimes called the helper's high, a genuine neurochemical boost produced by acts of generosity, driven by the release of dopamine and endorphins. When we express love not just to those close to us, but to strangers and those in need, we tap into something deep in our social nature. We are wired for connection and contribution, and when we act in alignment with that nature, we flourish. Studies have also found that acts of kindness boost the immune system, reduce depression, and even extend life expectancy. True love, then, is not only something between two people. It is a way of moving through the world, open, generous, and attentive to the needs of others, that enriches both the giver and the recipient. Fact number 28. Animals, including wolves, penguins, swans, and gibbons, can form lifelong pair bonds. Human beings are not alone in their capacity for lasting, devoted pair bonds. Across the animal kingdom, a remarkable variety of species form partnerships that last a lifetime, offering a window into the deep evolutionary roots of love and attachment. Wolves are one of the most well-known examples. They typically mate for life, and paired wolves coordinate closely in raising pups and defending territory, with strong evidence of distress when a partner is lost. Swans, long a symbol of love, also form lasting partnerships and are often seen swimming together, rearing their young in devoted cooperation. Certain penguin species, including emperor and chinstrap penguins, return year after year to the same partner, performing elaborate reunion rituals when they find each other again after months apart. Gibbons, small apes closely related to humans, sing complex duets with their partners at dawn, a beautiful expression of lifelong pair bonding. These examples suggest that the drive toward deep, committed bonding is not uniquely human. It is written into the biology of many social creatures, shaped by evolution as a powerful strategy for raising young and navigating life together. Fact number 29. Studies show that arranged marriages can develop the same depth of love as love marriages over time. In many cultures around the world, marriages are arranged by families rather than initiated by the couple themselves, a practice that is sometimes viewed skeptically by those accustomed to the Western ideal of love-first relationships. But research has consistently found something surprising. Over time, arranged marriages can develop love that is just as deep, genuine, and satisfying as love marriages. In a comprehensive study comparing arranged and love marriages in India and the United States, researchers found that while love marriages began with higher levels of romantic love, the two groups converged over time. And at the 10-year mark, couples in arranged marriages reported levels of love and satisfaction equal to those in love marriages. The researchers suggested that arranged marriages, by starting from a foundation of practical compatibility and family support, may allow love to develop more gradually and sustainably. This does not mean that all arranged marriages are healthy. As with all relationships, individual circumstances, choice, and respect are crucial. But the research challenges the assumption that love can only begin with romantic attraction. Sometimes, love is what grows when two people commit to building a life together. Fact number 30. Writing about love helps people process emotions and deepen their understanding of relationships. There's a reason that love has been the subject of more poetry, letters, diary entries, and literature than almost any other human experience. Writing about love is not just expression, it is transformation. Research in psychology has found that writing about emotional experiences, a practice called expressive writing, helps people process complex feelings, gain perspective, and develop deeper self-understanding. When it comes to love specifically, putting feelings into words requires us to articulate things that might otherwise remain vague and overwhelming, bringing them into focus and making them more manageable. Studies by psychologist James Pennebaker found that people who wrote about significant emotional experiences, including romantic ones, showed measurable improvements in emotional well-being and even physical health. Writing love letters, keeping journals about relationships, or expressing feelings in poetry or prose can also deepen connection, either by helping us understand ourselves better or by creating a meaningful act of communication for another person. In a culture that moves quickly and communicates briefly, the deliberate act of writing about love remains one of the most powerful tools we have for understanding what we feel and why. Fact number 31. The passionate intensity of early love typically transforms into deeper companionate love over time. In the early stages of romantic love, everything feels heightened. Colors seem brighter, music sounds more beautiful, and the beloved seems almost impossibly perfect. This stage, characterized by intense passion, obsessive thinking, and euphoric highs, is what psychologists call passionate love or limerence. It is exhilarating, but it is also temporary. Research consistently shows that this intense phase typically lasts between 1 and 3 years before naturally beginning to shift. What replaces it is not the death of love, but its transformation into something different and in many ways deeper. Companionate love, a warm, stable, deeply secure form of affection rooted in genuine knowing, mutual trust, and shared history. Companionate love is quieter than passionate love, but it is also more resilient and more sustaining. It is the love that is still present at 2 in the morning when someone is sick, at the end of a hard day when the world feels heavy, and across the decades as 2 people grow old together. The transition from passionate to companionate love is not a loss. It is love growing up, growing deeper, and growing into something that can truly last. Fact number 32. Long-term couples can still experience passionate love. Brain scans show patterns similar to new couples. One of the most heartening findings in the neuroscience of love is the discovery that passionate, romantic love does not have to fade with time. While it is true that many long-term relationships transition from intense early passion to a warmer, more companionate form of love, research has found that some couples maintain the neurological patterns of passionate love even decades into their partnership. In a landmark study, psychologist Bianca Acevedo and her colleagues used brain imaging to study individuals who had been married for an average of 21 years, but reported still feeling intensely in love with their partners. The brain scans of these individuals showed activity in the same dopamine-rich reward areas that light up in people who have just fallen in love, a pattern not seen in couples who described a more comfortable, affectionate, but less passionate long-term bond. What distinguished these long-term passionate lovers? Researchers noted that they tended to express strong admiration for their partners, prioritize their relationship, and continue to seek new and exciting experiences together. Passionate love, it seems, can be sustained, but like any living thing, it requires care and cultivation. Fact number 33. Nostalgia for shared memories strengthens love bonds. One of the quiet but powerful forces that keeps love alive over time is nostalgia. The warm, sometimes bittersweet feeling of remembering shared experiences from the past. Research in psychology has found that nostalgic recollection of positive shared memories in a relationship serves as a meaningful source of connection and love reinforcement. When couples reminisce together, looking at old photographs, revisiting meaningful places, or simply telling each other stories from their shared past, they're doing more than entertainment. They are reinforcing the narrative of their bond, reminding themselves and each other of who they have been together, what they have shared, and how far they have come. Studies have found that relationship nostalgia increases feelings of love and closeness, boosts satisfaction with the current relationship, and can be particularly powerful during periods of stress or disconnection. The shared history that nostalgia accesses is, in a very real sense, the architecture of the relationship, the accumulated moments that have built the bond over time. Revisiting that history together is a way of honoring it and of reminding ourselves of the love it contains. Fact number 34. Couples who grow together intellectually tend to stay in love longer. Intellectual compatibility and shared curiosity are among the most underappreciated ingredients of lasting love. While physical attraction and emotional connection are often cited as the primary drivers of romantic relationships, research on long-term relationship satisfaction reveals that couples who continue to learn and grow together intellectually, exploring new ideas, challenging each other's thinking, and sharing in the excitement of discovery, tend to report greater love and satisfaction over the long term. This is partly connected to the principle of self-expansion in relationships. We tend to remain engaged and invested in relationships where we feel we are still growing, still learning, still becoming more than we were. When a partner consistently introduces us to new perspectives, stimulates our curiosity, or engages our mind in meaningful conversation, they remain interesting and vital to us in a way that sustains desire and connection. Shared intellectual pursuits, whether reading the same books, debating ideas, pursuing mutual interests, or simply having rich, stimulating conversations are one of the most reliable ways to keep a relationship alive, engaged, and growing. Fact number 35. Love requires nurturing. Neglect can erode even the deepest bonds. One of the most important truths about love, and one of the easiest to forget in the busyness of daily life, is that love requires active nurturing to thrive. No matter how deep or genuine the love between two people, is not immune to the erosion that comes from prolonged neglect. Like a garden, love needs regular attention, care, and investment. Without it, even the most beautiful relationships can wither over time. Research by relationship scientist John Gottman emphasizes the importance of what he calls turning toward one another, responding to each other's bids for connection, expressing appreciation, and maintaining regular positive interactions. When these small but essential acts of love and attention become rare, partners can begin to feel unseen, unvalued, and emotionally disconnected. The slow drift that results from neglect is one of the most common causes of relationship decline. Not dramatic conflict or betrayal, but the gradual accumulation of unmet bids for connection and unexpressed appreciation. The antidote is not complicated. Consistent, attentive care. Love, tended to every day, grows stronger. Love left to look after itself quietly fades. Fact number 36. The 7-year itch is a myth. Many couples report love deepening after that point. The concept of the 7-year itch, the idea that relationships inevitably experience a major crisis or deterioration around the 7-year mark, is a popular cultural belief that research does not strongly support. While it is true that the early years of a relationship can be challenging as couples navigate the transition from passionate infatuation to a more stable partnership, the idea that 7 years is a universal tipping point for romantic trouble is not backed by consistent data. In fact, many long-term couples report that their love deepens and matures significantly after the first several years together. As the initial intensity of early romance settles into something more sustainable, many partners find that they know each other more deeply, trust each other more completely, and feel more genuinely comfortable and connected than in the early days of their relationship. Research on relationship satisfaction across time shows that while some couples do experience difficulties at various stages, many experience a renewal of closeness and appreciation as they grow through life's challenges together. The deeper the roots of a relationship grow, the stronger it can become at 7 years and far beyond. Fact number 37. Shared rituals. Morning coffee, weekend walks are a powerful adhesive in long-term love. In long-term relationships, it is often not the grand romantic gestures, but the small, repeated, shared rituals that form the most powerful adhesive holding two people together over time. A morning cup of coffee shared in companionable silence, a Sunday walk in the same neighborhood week after week, a nightly check-in about the day. These seemingly ordinary moments accumulate into something deeply meaningful. Relationship researchers have found that couples who maintain regular shared rituals report higher levels of relationship satisfaction, stronger feelings of connection, and greater resilience during stressful periods. These rituals work in several important ways. They provide structure and predictability, creating a sense of reliability and security. They offer regular, low-pressure opportunities for connection and togetherness. They become part of the shared identity of a couple. Our thing, a private world that belongs only to them. And over time, these rituals carry with them the weight of all the mornings, all the walks, all the conversations that have come before, becoming, in their quiet repetition, one of love's most beautiful languages. True love is often lived in the details. Fact number 38. Love expressed in small daily moments outlasts grand romantic gestures. Popular culture celebrates love through extraordinary moments. The dramatic proposal, the surprise getaway, the extravagant gift. And while these moments are beautiful and meaningful, Relationship science is clear about what actually sustains love over decades. Not grand gestures, but small daily expressions of care and connection. Psychologist John Gottman's research on couples found that the most reliable predictor of long-term relationship happiness was not the frequency of romantic trips or expensive gifts, but the ratio of positive to negative interactions in everyday life. Couples whose relationships thrived showed an average of 5 positive interactions: a smile, a compliment, an act of kindness, a gentle touch for every 1 negative interaction. These micro moments of love and connection, accumulated over thousands of days together, form the emotional foundation of a truly happy partnership. A partner who remembers how you take your coffee, who notices when you seem tired and offers to help, who says, "I love you," not just on anniversaries, but on ordinary Tuesday afternoons. This is the texture of love that lasts. True love is not a single grand gesture. It is 1,000 quiet ones. Fact number 39. Older couples often report the deepest, most fulfilling love of their lives. There's a widespread cultural assumption that romantic love is at its most vibrant and intense in youth. That early love is the most passionate, and that with age comes a fading of romance. Research tells a very different and far more encouraging story. Studies on relationship satisfaction across the lifespan have consistently found that older couples, those who have been together for several decades, often report some of the deepest, most fulfilling love they have ever experienced. The love they describe is characterized by profound mutual understanding, deep trust, easy companionship, and a quality of peaceful contentment that younger couples rarely have access to. They have weathered loss, illness, change, and hardship together and survived. They know each other with a depth and accuracy that comes only from decades of shared life. Some research has found that couples in their 60s, 70s, and beyond are among the most emotionally satisfied in their relationships, expressing more affection, fewer arguments, and greater appreciation for each other than couples in younger age groups. Long love, it seems, is not a lesser love. It is often love at its richest, its deepest, and its most fully realized. Fact number 40. Time apart can strengthen appreciation and love in a healthy relationship. The old saying, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder," is more than just a platitude. It reflects a genuine psychological phenomenon that research has consistently supported. In healthy relationships, periods of time apart, whether due to travel, work commitments, or simply the natural separateness of two individuals who maintain their own lives, can actually strengthen appreciation and deepen love. When we are constantly in each other's company, it is easy to take a partner's presence for granted, to let familiarity dull our awareness of their value. Time apart resets that awareness. It gives us the space to miss someone, to notice their absence, to remember why their presence matters, and to anticipate the joy of reunion. Research on couples in long-distance relationships, as well as couples who travel for work, has found that intentional time apart, when managed with good communication and trust, can actually increase feelings of love, desire, and appreciation. The key word is healthy. Time apart strengthens love when the relationship itself is secure and when separation is balanced with meaningful connection. In those conditions, absence truly does make the heart grow fonder. Fact number 41. True love is never controlling or possessive. One of the most important distinctions to understand about love is the difference between genuine love and behavior that masquerades as love, but is actually something else entirely: control and possessiveness. True love respects the full humanity of the beloved, their autonomy, their individuality, their right to make their own choices and live their own life. It does not attempt to manage, restrict, isolate, or dominate another person under the guise of care. Controlling behavior in relationships, monitoring a partner's movements, restricting their friendships, demanding constant access, or using jealousy as a tool of manipulation. is not an expression of love, however it may be framed. It is a form of power and insecurity that causes real harm. Research on relationship abuse consistently finds that controlling behavior is one of the most dangerous patterns in intimate partnerships, often escalating over time. True love, by contrast, feels spacious rather than suffocating. It trusts rather than surveils. It encourages growth rather than preventing it. If someone claims to love you, but consistently seeks to control you, it is important to recognize that what they are expressing is not love. It is something love must be protected from. Fact number 42. True love survives change. People evolve, and love adapts. One of the most profound tests of true love is whether it can survive change. And people change inevitably and continuously throughout their lives. Over the course of a long relationship, both individuals may shift significantly in their beliefs, values, interests, ambitions, and even their fundamental sense of who they are. Careers change, health changes, families change, and the world itself changes in ways that reshape us from the inside out. Relationships that cannot accommodate this growth and evolution often struggle because they are built on a fixed image of a person rather than on love for the living, changing human being in front of them. True love, by contrast, is flexible and adaptive. It is curious about who its beloved is becoming, not merely attached to who they were when the relationship began. It means choosing someone not just in this moment, but through all the moments yet to come, including the ones that surprise you. Some of the most beautiful love stories are those of couples who have grown and changed enormously over the years, and who have done so together, each supporting the other's becoming and discovering again and again the person they love. Fact number 43. True love involves honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. Honesty is one of the foundations on which true love is built, and maintaining it requires courage, especially when the truth is difficult to say or to hear. It can be tempting in love to avoid uncomfortable truths in the name of kindness or peace, to say that everything is fine when it is not, to suppress concerns rather than risk conflict, or to tell a partner what they want to hear rather than what they need to hear. But this kind of avoidance, however well-intentioned, corrodes love over time by building barriers to genuine understanding and connection. True love is honest, not in the service of being harsh, but in the service of being real. It means being able to say, I'm struggling with this, or something is hurting me, or I disagree with you here, and trusting that the relationship is strong enough to hold these truths. Research on relationship communication consistently finds that couples who can speak difficult truths to each other with care and respect have stronger, more resilient bonds than those who prioritize surface peace at the expense of genuine honesty. Real intimacy is impossible without real honesty, and real honesty requires real courage. Fact number 44. Love without respect is not truly love. If there is one element that is absolutely non-negotiable in any form of true love, it is respect. Respect means recognizing and honoring the fundamental dignity, worth, and humanity of another person, seeing them as a full, complex individual deserving of consideration, kindness, and basic decency. When respect is absent from a relationship, what remains may look like love from the outside, but it lacks the essential quality that makes love genuinely loving. A relationship can have passion without respect, but it will be corrosive. It can have commitment without respect, but it will be damaging. It can have dependency without respect, but that is not love. It is entrapment. Relationship researchers, including John Gottman, have identified contempt, the opposite of respect, characterized by disgust, mockery, and the belief that one's partner is fundamentally inferior, as the single most destructive force in a romantic relationship. And conversely, relationships characterized by deep mutual respect, where partners treat each other with consistent consideration and genuine regard, are among the most durable and satisfying. Respect is not just a component of love. It is love's most essential ingredient. Fact number 45. You cannot truly love another without some degree of self-love first. The instruction to love your neighbor as yourself carries within it an often overlooked assumption that you love yourself. And yet for many people, self-love, genuine care for and acceptance of one's own well-being, worth, and humanity is something that does not come naturally. Psychologists and relationship therapists consistently observe that our capacity to love others authentically is shaped by our relationship with ourselves. When we lack self-worth, we are more likely to seek validation from a partner, to tolerate mistreatment out of fear of abandonment, or to lose ourselves entirely in a relationship. When we struggle to care for ourselves, it can be difficult to give freely to another without accumulating resentment. Genuine self-love, not arrogance or self-absorption, but a basic acceptance of one's own worth and a commitment to one's own well-being, creates the internal security from which healthy love can flow outward. It also means we enter relationships from a place of choice and desire rather than need and desperation. Loving yourself well is not a selfish act. It is one of the most loving things you can do for the people in your life. Fact number 46. True love is shown more in actions than in words. I love you are three of the most powerful words in any language, but spoken alone, without the actions to support them, they remain hollow. True love is demonstrated not primarily in what is said, but in what is done, in the countless daily choices, sacrifices, and acts of care that together paint a portrait of devotion far more vivid than any words could capture. Actions speak to love because they require something real: time, energy, attention, and sometimes sacrifice. When someone consistently shows up for you, not just in the easy moments, but in the hard ones, not just when it is convenient, but when it costs something, that is love made tangible. Research on love and attachment confirms that behavioral expressions of care, reliability, responsiveness, and consistent investment are more powerful predictors of felt love and security than verbal expressions alone. This does not mean words are unimportant. They matter deeply. But words become most meaningful when they are confirmed by action. A love that is expressed in behavior, day after day, is a love that can be trusted, leaned on, and built upon. It is love that has proven itself real. Fact number 47. True love does not keep score or hold grudges indefinitely. One of the most quietly damaging habits in relationships is keeping score, mentally cataloging every sacrifice made, every wrong done, every favor given and not returned, and using this internal ledger as a measure of who owes what to whom. True love, by contrast, gives without calculating return and forgives without weaponizing the past. This does not mean being a doormat or ignoring genuine patterns of mistreatment. Self-respect and healthy boundaries are always essential. But within a relationship of genuine mutual love and respect, forgiveness is not optional. It is necessary. Research by psychologist Robert Enright and others who study forgiveness has found that the ability to forgive, to release resentment, and choose not to define a partner by their past mistakes is one of the strongest predictors of long-term relationship health and individual well-being. Holding grudges, by contrast, keeps both people trapped in the past and slowly poisons the present. True love recognizes that both people in a relationship are imperfect, will make mistakes, and will need grace from the other. And it chooses to extend that grace not once, but again and again across all the seasons of shared life. Fact number 48. Love is not jealous of another's success. It celebrates it. Jealousy is sometimes romanticized as a sign of deep love, evidence that someone cares so much that they cannot bear the thought of losing you or the thought of another receiving what they want for themselves. But genuine love operates very differently from jealousy. True love is expansive rather than diminishing. It celebrates the beloved's success, growth, achievement, and happiness, even when that success takes them in directions we did not anticipate or brings them recognition that does not include us. Research in relationship psychology has identified a concept called capitalization, the process by which partners respond to each other's good news. Studies have found that how a partner responds to your positive news is just as important as, perhaps more important than, how they respond to your bad news. When a partner responds to your success with genuine enthusiasm, pride, and delight, it deepens love and strengthens the bond. When they respond with indifference or subtle resentment, it creates distance. True love wants the best for the beloved, not in spite of their flourishing, but because of it. Your happiness is my joy. Your success is something I celebrate unreservedly because I love you. Fact number 49. True love endures hardship. It is tested and strengthened by adversity. Every relationship will eventually face adversity. Illness, loss, financial hardship, grief, conflict, or the slow weight of difficult seasons that seem to have no end. And it is precisely in these moments that the quality of love is most clearly revealed. True love does not retreat when things become hard. It does not dissolve in the face of difficulty or disappear when the romantic excitement is replaced by the raw reality of shared struggle. Instead, it shows up, imperfect, sometimes exhausted, but present. Research on couples who have faced major adversity together, serious illness, the loss of a child, natural disaster, or financial crisis, reveals something striking. Many of them describe coming through those experiences with a deeper, more unshakable bond than they had before. Shared hardship, navigated with mutual support and commitment, forges something in a relationship that comfortable times cannot. It teaches each partner what the other is truly made of. It proves that the love between them is not conditional on circumstances being good. And in proving that, in surviving what threatened to break them, love becomes something neither partner can any longer doubt. Adversity, endured together, is one of love's most powerful deepeners. Fact number 50. Ultimately, true love is a daily decision to choose, value, and cherish another person again and again. We have explored 100 dimensions of true love, its neuroscience, its history, its health benefits, its philosophy, its quirks, and its beauty. And after everything, we arrive at the same truth that the wisest thinkers, the happiest couples, and the oldest love stories have always pointed toward. True love is not something that simply happens to you. It is something you choose. Every morning you wake up beside the same person or carry someone in your heart across the miles, and you make a choice, consciously or unconsciously, about how you will show up in that love today. Will you listen or distract yourself? Will you express appreciation or take for granted? Will you forgive or hold on to the wound a little longer? Will you choose to see the best in them or catalog their failures? True love is made of 10,000 such choices, accumulating across days and years and decades, and is something profound and irreplaceable. It is not a feeling that arrives and stays. It is a practice, a commitment, a way of seeing and being seen. And the extraordinary thing is this: every single day, you get to choose it again. Every day is a new beginning of the same beautiful, imperfect, irreplaceable love. And that choice, made freely, made daily, made with your whole heart, is the most powerful thing in the world.